Hi there, and thanks for tuning in. I decided to share my story today, January 1st, after speaking with many people yesterday who have given up and have no hope to take with them into this new year. I speak for you tonight, and for so many who are forced to learn to hide behind a mask of fear and shame. I invite you to take your mask off with me right now as I speak for you and I reveal myself to you as the voice tonight for those who suffer with pain from depression, anxiety, PTSD, domestic violence, have nowhere to turn and find their traditional therapy just doesn't work. I feel your pain, and I'm the voice for the children that live with this suffering in their homes. Please understand that if you transform your life, it will change theirs. What a difference you can make in your child's life. I'm a domestic violence survivor, and I've suffered emotional, physical, and sexual abuse over a span of 35 years. I was unconscious to why this was happening in my life. After I suffered physical abuse in my 20s, I was severely depressed. And in the midst of a suicide attempt, after I left my first husband, the thought of my daughter saved my life. I didn't think it was fair to leave her. I loved her. And I was scared for my life and tired of suffering. So I checked myself into a hospital for 30 days to get help with depression. It gave me the tools enough to never get that depressed again. And I learned how to magically feel better from antidepressants from time to time when I needed them. But that's a mask, like opiates. After the effects are gone, the pain's still there. It wasn't enough to break the pattern or stop the pain which I had become accustomed to and unconscious of. Because it only masked the pain, I went on to repeat that cycle again and again. I married 2 more times, and I had a child with each. As much as I eventually knew abuse was wrong, this was the only life I knew by now. I felt like I didn't deserve any better, or that maybe better didn't even exist in this world. What I didn't know most of was that was a story inside of me that I told myself to sabotage my life, because I was too afraid to look at my inside and see what was going on. And you got to fix the inside before you fix the outside. So after I left my last husband in 2005, my self-esteem was so low, I started becoming the problem. This codependent life was all I knew. Drama and chaos had become my spoken language. And I started taking my anger and my pain out on my children, the ones I loved the most, by yelling at them, making them feel bad, and not being present for them. I was unconscious to that. I thought being a good mother meant being home, not subjecting them to men in my life, and not drinking or doing drugs. And because of my lack of awareness, they never got the love they needed. I was too busy trying to put food on the table, take care of them, and blaming everybody else for my fucked up life. It's hard to look at yourself, and it's hard to change. I was just existing and letting life happen to me. I felt it was everyone else's responsibility to make me happy. I figured, like many people do, that if I could find real love in my life, I would find the happiness I needed. Little did I know, there were times in my life it was right there, but I couldn't see it or sustain it, as I wasn't aware of the fact that I didn't love myself. If you would have told me that, I'd have called you a damn liar, because I thought I did. So fast forward, again, by this time, my children are grown, my baby's off to college, and no one's around. No one wanted to be around me, and I had nobody to blame. But I was still blaming everyone else for my miserable life. I had no real friends anymore because I didn't bother to try to keep them. And I had always had a story about them too. So I was barely making any money to survive, and I didn't even care. I just wanted to die. One day I just laid on the floor and I cried and cried and cried for hours. And then there was this crazy moment in the middle of that, like I literally got struck by lightning, and this electric shock went through me and stopped my tears. And it stopped me dead in my tracks, and this voice inside of me said, no one's going to make you happy. That has to come from you. And I realized at that moment just how much I hated myself and how I took it out on all the people I loved the most. I was so ashamed and so unconscious up until then. And I've been hurt many times. But the worst thing that bothered me was how many times I hurt other people in the process, including my ex-husbands, my friends, my family, especially my own 3 children. I knew I had a lot of work to do. It's very easy for me to forgive other people. I'm still friends with my exes, although I lost one along the way, the one that showed me the most love. Losing him was difficult, as we were best friends. We spoke every day about everything till the last week of his life when he couldn't. He showed me the most kindness. And the hardest part for me in my transformation was the battle of self, my demons. I had to battle through my shame and my guilt. But the hardest part was forgiving myself for my ugliness. I was feeling as I broke down that all that pain that I inflicted on my loved ones, especially my children. I busted my ass to get through all this. I had to go from the life I was living through this gap of changing my perceptions, changing my stories, learning the law of cause and effect, walking beyond my fear, identifying the pain, getting rid of all the resentment, and I had to work on forgiveness for myself. And then when you're free from all this, you become totally conscious and aware and awakened. But the best part was who I became in the process. Some might say this was hard for me to do, or you have courage for telling your story, but the truth is, I've become comfortable with my story. And that's all it is right now, is a story. It does not define me anymore. I've let go. And as I close tonight, let me say, shame is a killer. Shame hates when we tell our story. Shame loves secrecy. It likes to stay buried deep inside and metastasize and grow like freaking cancer until eventually it eats you alive if you don't deal with it. So I hope something in my story added value to yours. Please don't suffer like I did for 50 years. It's easier for you than you think to change your life. You can be happy and pain-free. I'm living proof. Breakdowns are nothing but breakthroughs. I'd love to hear your comments. I'll answer each one. If you need any information or you'd like to talk to me further, please email me at bodytechlifecoach@gmail.com. Thank you, and happy transformational